अभी तो इतना एथेनॉल हो गया है कि सब घाटे में
That was a government insider that you just heard, admitting that the fuel going in your tank right now is a loss maker. Some reports say that it's from a senior politician from India holding a very high constitutional post. So I went looking and I could not confirm it. So I'm not going to tell you that it is him, because it does not matter who is in the clip, because I found some other important people who are saying worse things, that too on record publicly. The ethanol industry's own association is saying that half the capacity India has built will never be used. It is just not economically viable. And one of the country's most respected agricultural economists calls it the most irrational policy the government has. Because nowhere in the world do you put rice into the system to make fuel. So this isn't just a rumor from a leaked clip. The people who build this fuel and the people who study it are all saying the same thing, that it just doesn't add up. And yet the blend only goes up, and very quickly I must say. E20 was supposed to happen by 2030. They hit it in 2025, 5 years early. And then E85 launched in Delhi this year, and E100 is already signed off by the transport minister himself, which is strange because when something loses money, you make less of it, right? But India is doing the exact opposite. So I wanted to know why. And I started with the most basic question there is, the one you would ask standing at the pump, which is, do I even have a choice? So first, let's talk about the deleted choice. Across the roughly 90,000 petrol stations in the country, the number of pure, unblended petrol pumps is exactly 0. And we all know what happens when you put ethanol in your bike or car. They cry. See, ethanol has lower energy density, so obviously your mileage drops, but that engine also takes a hit. The Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers gave me a really important number. 4 out of 5 petrol vehicles on Indian roads right now were built for E5 or E10, not E20. But do you know who gets screwed the most? You got it right, it's the two-wheeler folks. 24 of India's roughly 34 crore registered vehicles are two-wheelers. They are the people who are least equipped to drop cash on new flex fuel engine and definitely the least able to absorb a daily tax on their ride to work. And by the way, please don't go on whatever our ministers are saying. The government already knows all of this. A 6 to 7% mileage drop is literally printed in government's own 2021 Niti Aayog roadmap. But when the citizens started waving this document around, the ministry called it critique, misplaced. Pair that with a PIB clarification dropped a few days ago defending E20's safety. The government is doing all sorts of mental gymnastics to dodge the only question that matters. Does it cost you more per kilometer? Oh, and if you pour this mandatory cocktail in an older engine, you are literally risking future damage because ethanol is highly water absorbent and can act as a catalyst for corrosion inside the engine block. In vehicles not designed for modern ethanol blends, it quietly degrades the rubber seals and fuel lines. By the time the damage is severe enough to notice, years later, the insurance company will probably have every excuse to deny the claim. So do one thing this week. Call your insurer and ask in writing whether E20 related engine damage is covered or not. Because a paper trail is the only leverage you have when the claim comes. And the government has been claiming that the rollout is harmless. But the drivers, the owners, the ones who are filing so many complaints, they tell a different story. The reality is that nobody has run the long-term tests which are necessary. Because you, my dear friend, you are the long-term test. The response of our ministers to these issues is to call them anti-nationals. And if you think the justice system will step in and help you, think again. One guy took them to the court. He filed a PIL where he did not ask to kill the entire program. He just wanted an option of an unblended pump in the city. What did the government do? They called him a name lender, which basically means a puppet. They alleged that he had a shadowy lobby behind him, argued that the policy feeds the farmers. So the court just dismissed it. He was basically outvoted by a sugarcane. So the entire narrative is built on 4 pillars, and let's investigate them one by one. Back in 2013, the math actually worked. Ethanol was 38 rupees and petrol was 44. Blending it genuinely saved money. But now the government's own ministry admits ethanol costs around 72 a litre. It is fundamentally more expensive than the petrol it is replacing. So there should not be any discount, right? This is where I break down exactly how this hustle works. Ethanol costs 71 to make. Petrol costs roughly 45. So just mixing them together would be a disaster. The cost of fuel would skyrocket. So the government pulls a tax trick. When you buy a liter of E20 petrol, 80% of it, which is the petrol component, it gets hit with 50% tax. But the 20% that is ethanol, that only gets a chill 5% GST. Because of that tax cut, the overall cost of the liter should drop, right? But does it actually drop? Well, there is no concrete way to find out since we cannot just compare it with unblended petrol. So a think tank called CSEP tracked the actual pump prices. Result? Every real move traces back to crude oil or a tax change. In theory, it should have been cheaper, but ethanol blending literally is not having any impact on what prices we pay, at least as per that think tank's investigation. We have been hearing that it saves forex, cuts our import bill. So let's test it out. The biggest price here is diesel. 40% of everything that this country burns. The biggest import by far. But why is your petrol running on 20% ethanol while diesel stays clean? They did try to do that. They ran 10% ethanol in diesel trials, but Gadkari admitted on record that they failed. The diesel was apparently anti-national. It just wouldn't mix with ethanol, man. So the entire burden fell on poor petrol. Hold that thought, because they did not give up on diesel and will come back to it. Now to feed the petrol side, India, which used to be Asia's top corn exporter, flipped to a net importer. Corn imports are up nearly 8,000% in 2024. Distilleries are outbidding poultry farmers on feed. So even your chicken and eggs are getting expensive. However, our energy independence program reportedly now needs imported US maize to survive, and the Americans are pushing India to drop its ban on importing ethanol itself. This is all on top of the corn already coming from Myanmar and Ukraine. So basically, our import independence policy needs to import its own supply. But see, I get it. I mean, maize and corn can be imported from a lot of countries, and petrol, diesel, they are very limited in supply. So of course, I understand where this is coming from, but we should be cognizant of the problems it's causing in our country. And we should also think about, like, are there any other alternatives to do this? Because I can see some. Anyway, moving on to the next chapter. The headline is clear. E20 lowers carbon monoxide and benzene. True, the catch, it raises acetaldehyde and it pushes up nitrous oxides in older engines. So the fuel sold as greener is making most of the fleet on our roads emit more, not less. And to top it, it drinks up to 3,500 liters of water per liter of cane ethanol. Rice is just far worse, and the cane grows in Maharashtra, UP, Karnataka, consuming so much water in a country where its own index wants 21 cities could hit zero groundwater by 2030. So the thirstiest crop is grown in one of the thirstiest places. Big brain time, I must say. But now let's pause and let's do a quick media literacy check. You have seen viral clips of ethanol pollution choking Indian cities. Let's be straight, a lot of them are completely mislabeled. Barnighat, Meghalaya, that's coke and cement plants mostly. Ramgarh, Jharkhand, coal and thermal plants, not ethanol. But the real ethanol story is actually worse. It's called zero liquid discharge. You make 1 liter of fuel and you create up to 15 liters of extreme strength toxic leftover sludge. ZLD law says that you cannot dump it in rivers. So ethanol plants either burn it into the sky or let it sit in giant open ponds that rot and stink of sulfur, that rotten egg smell that carries for kilometers. In Zira, Punjab, a distillery got caught drilling boreholes and pumping the toxic waste down into the groundwater. The same water people drink and irrigate with. Cyanide in the local supply hit 4 times the safe limit, and residents, they started reporting illnesses. And yet, it took the village 177-day blockade to force it to shut down. And when you go to Hanumangarh in Rajasthan, farmers are being lathi charged by the police to stop Asia's largest ethanol plant. A plant that was supposed to be built for their benefit. But what are other countries doing on it? That's also a question that comes to your head, right? Europe studied crop-based biofuels and legally capped it at 7%. And India is like 20% is bare minimum. Meanwhile, the government's flagship 2G ethanol plant in Panipat, the one that uses stubble waste and could actually fix Delhi smog, sits idle. Production is very low or nil. I mean, what are we even doing? 2G ethanol got 1969 crores and food crop ethanol got 40,000 crores. 20-to-1 ratio, pointing the exact wrong way. Annadata to Urjadata. from a farmer to a fuel maker. Sounds pretty cool, pretty badass. They also say that 1.18 lakh crore is flowing to the farmers. But you know what? Let's follow how the money actually moves. The government does not pay the farmers. It pays the sugar mill for ethanol. And the mill is supposed to pay the farmer. But this is where it gets messed up. The price that the government is paying for the main cane ethanol routes has been frozen for 3 years. But the price the mill is forced to pay the farmers for the cane, that's gone up 16% in the same stretch by law. So the income is frozen and the cost is climbing. The mill now loses about 5 rupees on every liter. And a loss-making mill is not going to pay its farmers well. It'll either pay them late or less. Ask Madhav Rao Kadam. He's a cane farmer in Hingoli. This January, he went to the mill asking why his payment was decreased. The mill told him straight, the ethanol that they had made wasn't even being bought. So there was no money to pay him. Farmers in the next district were getting 3,500 rupees a ton, while he was getting just 2,500. Annadata, Ujadata, you know what? The farmers just got the slogan and not the money. So 4 justifications, and none of them are doing that well. So let's strip the PR away and ask the plainest version of the question. What does this program actually do? Starting with the thing nobody in the government will say out loud, they have just built too much. Roughly 2,000 crore liters of ethanol capacity for a market half that size. They cannot export it because Indian cane is the most expensive in the world. So they are just sitting on an ocean of fuel with nowhere to put it. It has changed from an energy policy to a disposable problem now. Remember that anti-national diesel that would not take ethanol? They found a workaround. You take ethanol and process it a bit more to get a chemical called isobutanol, and isobutanol does mix with diesel. The ministry secretary has said that a mandate is quite likely by the end of 2026. Up to 15% by the way. Diesel is roughly double the size of petrol. So when the surplus did not find a purpose, they went looking for a bigger tank. And that is the engine of the whole thing. The demand was never real. It was manufactured blend by blend to feed a machine that produced too much. E30, E85, E100, now diesel. Every new mandate is just a bigger hole to pour the surplus into. So now the question is, who's the biggest beneficiary of all of this? So I just followed the money to figure it out. 1.96 lakh crore has gone to distilleries. And look where that capacity sits. Maharashtra, UP, Karnataka. Drop the sugarcane belt on top of it, it's the same map. The plants got built exactly where the political power already was. Now there are 2 very different groups here and they both are winning, and we have to keep both of them separate. First, the businesses, the listed companies, Balrampur Chini, Triveni, Dalmia, etc., etc. Balrampur's promoter Vivek Saraogi also heads the sugar industry's own association. These are legitimate companies doing what companies do, maximizing a policy that favors them. No crime in that, but watch the market every time the cabinet raises the ethanol price. These stocks rally the same day. The connection isn't hidden, it's on the ticker. But then there is another group, and this is the one that matters. A researcher at the University of Virginia, Sandeep Sukhtankar, studied 183 sugar mills in Maharashtra. Out of that, 101 were chaired by people who had run for political office. So more than half the industry run by politicians. And I must warn you not to categorize all of this into a single party because it does not split that way. As one Congress leader would put it on record, the sugar barons follow the power and not the ideology. When the control shifts, they shift with that. You will find them under every major political party in the country. BJP's Pankaj Munde, Congress's Deshmukhs, and NCP's Pawars. Now here is why this entire overlap matters for ethanol. These mills that we are talking about, they regulate themselves. The state department that licenses a new ethanol plant, that sets the cane price, that clears the loan guarantees. It's all run by the same political class that owns the mills. Conflict of interest? Lol. Anyway, when the ethanol mandate arrived with all its guaranteed buyers and its subsidies, it did not land on an open market. It landed inside a machine these politicians already controlled, regulated, and could point the money at. And you know what? Add some more money from the top. Since 2021, India has had a dedicated Ministry of Cooperation run by Amit Shah. Under it, the government has released over 10,000 crores through a state lender to cooperative sugar mills, specifically to build ethanol plants. It cuts the GST on ethanol from 28% to 5%. And it has even waived off 46,000 crore in taxes for the entire sugar sector. So that's the machine, overbuilt, self-regulated and fed money from the top. None of it is hidden and all of it is technically legal. I could just stop here. This is already the story, but there is one more name and I want to be very careful with it because the difference between a pattern and an accusation matters, and I'm only going to show you the pattern. Mr. Nitin Gadkari, our roads and transport minister, his son's company Cian Agro entered ethanol in February 2024. Revenues went from 18 crore to 523 crore. The stock has risen 2100%. And here is his response in full. He says the company predates the policy. It makes under 0.5% of national output and that he has no roles in tenders or pricing. Okay, let's take whatever he says at face value because I just need a calendar to show you how, or rather for whom, the government works for. In December 2023, the government moved to curb cane juice ethanol to protect sugar prices. The industry objected and the policy was reversed in 8 days. Yes, 8 days. And when the vehicle owners report engine damage, they are all dismissed as propaganda. But here is the part that should actually bother you a lot more. Nothing about this is over. E20 was never the target. Like I said, E30 is next, then E85, then E100, then even diesel is probably going to get blended. Every year the number will go up and every year there will be a little less you can do about it. This isn't a scandal that broke. It's a machine that's still running, which is getting bigger with time, and you will keep filling the tank because there is still no other choice. I hope you liked our content, and if you did, please like, share and subscribe. That will help us grow. And if you have any criticism, any points or any topic that you'd like me to research and make a video on, please do that in comments.